Hi, guys. Good morning. I hope everybody's having a beautiful Friday morning. Um, if you live near me, the snow seems to have melted, which is a lovely thing because my little baby wasn't happy this morning going out in snow. Her little sweater's still on because she was still shaking even after we brought her in. Um, so this is my new little puppy named Wicca. She is almost 8 weeks old. She's a little border collie. We've just got her on Tuesday afternoon. So she's going to help us this morning, and we'll see how long she lasts. And we may have to go put her away so that she can get a little nap if needed. So tell me, give me some hearts or some likes or some comments, and tell me if you can see this video so I know it's all working well. And then we'll get started in a minute or so. I'm just checking to see if I can see it. And it looks like it's working. Awesome. Okay, so this morning we're going to talk about recalls. Um, so there's a lot of things, a lot of people are, well, I don't care if my dog jumps or I don't care if my dog pulls on leash, but we're all pretty well um, committed to nobody, everybody wants their dogs to come when called. So it's probably one of the most important things you're going to teach your puppy or your adult dog if you're retraining. So it's important to start off understanding a couple of things. Um, the first thing is I see people use the word come with their dogs all the time. Like they're walking along on leash and they're like, come, and they keep walking. You have to understand what come means to your dog or what you want come to mean to your dog. And then, of course, understand what come actually means to your dog. When I call my dog, when I give my recall cue, which is usually their name, I expect my dog to stop what they're doing, turn around, come towards me, and come to my general front area. And now with my agility dogs, a lot of them come to my side and get into beside me because I've put a lot of value into that spot. So when you're walking on leash and you kind of jerk your dog and you're like, come, and your dog keeps looking at what he was doing, he's understanding come means ignore you completely. So you really want to pay attention to how you use your cues and not give them unless the dog has the opportunity to do what you want him to do. Oh, we're losing our Chewy. She's a very bitey puppy, so we always have Chewies for her to amuse herself with. So that's it. So the first step is always understanding what you expect and then making sure they have the opportunity to listen to the cue and to be able to perform the cue. And then not putting them in a situation where they don't get to perform the cue. Or where they get to ignore the cue and find out it's optional, especially, important with any cue, but very important with a recall cue. Sorry, I'm just trying to get my phone to come on so that I can see if anybody's giving me any comments. Okay, so protecting your cue. What does that mean? It means not calling them when they're not going to come. So if her recall is non-existent, I've had her 3 days. She has some understanding of her name because I kept the name the breeder used. So the breeder had, hello, you're chewing on my hair. How about you chew on the stick? There you go. But I have no expectations. I know she doesn't know her name. I know she doesn't know when to come when called. So I'm not going to call her and get upset when she doesn't come. In fact, and I was thinking really hard about this week as I've been playing with her, I haven't said her name almost at all. I'll say puppy, puppy. I'll call her cutie. I see she responds to puppy, puppy. But I haven't because it's a cue that I want to be really strong and I don't want her to learn it's optional. Where puppy puppy is going to be optional. So when she's chewing on a plant, I'm not calling her. When she's running away from me, I'm not calling her. She's a 7-week-old puppy. She runs away and 2 seconds later she turns around and runs back. She's not going anywhere. Now that means, of course, that I'm not letting her loose anywhere where it's unsafe. But the biggest thing for this week is I am not calling her name. I did a little video this morning starting to work on her name. She isn't really food driven yet, so we used a toy because she works much better for a toy than for food. But it was the second time I've done this, and I will post it as soon as I'm done doing the live because my poor little country internet can only do one thing at a time. So, steps to teaching the cue. First step, so when I teach a cue, you have to be very clear. First, I say their name or the cue I'm going to use. You can use come, here, whatever works for you. Second, I move back. I want to always make sure to add motion to this cue because too many people I see say their dog's name, step towards them, and give them a cookie. Technically, you're rewarding the dog for sitting, which is the opposite of coming, which means you're in a field, you call your dog sits, and you say, oh, he's being stubborn. I don't know why he doesn't come. So you've got to make sure to always add motion. So to make sure I always add motion, I take a step back. After I take a step back, I reward low between my ankles. So a lot of people ask their dogs to sit before they reward them to prevent them from jumping for food. And I have no problem with sit. I want my dogs to have really strong sits, but I want them to have come behavior much more than I want them to have sit behavior. So I want to reward that motion. So I'm going to be moving backwards as I offer the reward. To prevent the jumping, I offer the reward under the height of the dog's chin. So that means if you have a tiny Jack Russell baby, you're putting that treat almost on the ground. If you have any dog, just make sure it goes under the height of the dog's chin. If the dog approaches you and the food's always low, the dog doesn't look up. So the dog never thinks of coming up. It's when we reward like this that they watch it come down the whole way that they start jumping up going, hey, we can help you out with that. We'll help you by meeting you halfway. And that's where you get the jumping. So all the jumping can be taken care of by just where you reward. The other thing is, hello, hello. I love to play this with kids. It's a great way to get your dog and your kids to play together and to exercise your puppy by having your kids stand around the yard and call the dog. For kids, I teach them to put the reward between their feet. That way the dog comes in and is driving at their feet. So even if they don't feed him, he's just looking around their feet, looking, oh, there must be a cookie here somewhere. Instead of, hold on, we are back. Instead of possibly jumping at them or grabbing at their hands. A lot of kids just can't give treats properly. They do this. Oh my God, I want to give it, but I'm scared of the mouth and they're going to bite me. They're goobery. So putting the treat on the ground has worked really, really well. Okay, let's look at the next step. The next part of this is how to make it better. So yeah, lots of people are like, oh, my dog's great when he knows I have food. So the reason for that is we do this. Before we call our dog, we go, look, I have a cookie. Now I call you. That creates food as the beginning of the sequence that gets them the cookie. I want to be really, really careful that the beginning of the sequence that gets them the cookie is the dog's name, not, look, I have a cookie. So for most of my clients, I suggest they keep their hands with their food behind their back because, I don't know, it's human nature, but we can't help it. We have to do, look, I have a cookie. If you keep your hand behind your back, it gives you a tactile cue so you remember to not present the food first. So the sequence is say the name or the cue, back up, adding motion, and then present the food. When you see the video I'm going to post a little later of Wicca, she is not responding to her name. She did a couple of times, but most of the time she's responding to me putting the toy on the ground. That's perfectly fine because the name predicts the toy. You do this enough times, she will start moving for her name, going, that toy is going to come out. Now I can start adding a little more challenge by going a little further away. It's another thing everybody does when I say, okay, we're going to work name game, they back up. You don't have to be far. You're just teaching the dog when you hear this sound, this little sound bite, something good is going to happen between my ankles. That's all you're teaching them. They don't have to come 5, 10 feet. All they have to do is just go, oh, I orient to between your ankles anytime you call me. Um, Once you've built confidence and drive, then you start adding distance. And then we start doing restrained recalls, which may be another whole Facebook Live. But for right now, you're just saying the name, taking a step, offering the reward. And you can start this with a dog of any age. Even if your dog has a horrible recall, this is a great place to start. If your dog already has a recall, but it's not real great, he considers it optional, I strongly suggest you change the cue. So if you've been calling your dog with come, start using the word here or close or front or banana. It really doesn't matter. Your dog will come to whatever you teach it to come to. They are not pre-programmed. They do not come ready to come when called. Gigi? Mwah! Um, so once you've got this in the house, go outside in the yard and do it. Go somewhere out in public and do it. All on a leash, all little short distances. So you're teaching your dog this sound bite means come no matter what we're doing, no matter where we are. If your dog is too distracted to be able to hear you or listen, don't keep calling their name. Just walk away. Keep watching the Facebook Lives because we'll get to that. But just don't keep calling their name. Don't let them practice not coming. I did that with a dog a few dogs ago. It would work in the house pretty good, but out in public when he was distracted, I could have a cow. It didn't matter. He wouldn't take the treat. He wouldn't turn around. So then it became a battle. I would call, he would ignore me, and that got worse and worse and worse. So learn from my mistakes. If your dog doesn't come, walk away. Don't worry about it. It's one mistake. But if you say it 10 times, now it's 10 mistakes. Now you're starting to cement in a habit of not coming. Oh, wait, Piranha Girl needs a joy. Hello, right here. Yeah, that's a good girly. Um, okay, so once you are doing really well and your dog is coming when called, and I take it out on leash or in the house, I take it outside. If you're in a situation when you can let them go, perfect. If you're at all worried, let them drag a long line. And I walk around. Oh, wigglies. I walk around and wait to see what happens. Sooner or later, the dog looks at you. When the dog looks at you, that's when I call him and back up. I'm not trying to get him off of stuff at this stage in training. I just want him to go, hey, I look at her and she calls me and gives me a cookie. So not only are you rewarding coming when called, you are also rewarding looking at you. So if you go back to last week's Facebook Live, we talked about creating that invisible leash. So not only here are you strengthening the come cue, you are also strengthening your invisible leash because your dog's like, hey, whenever I look at her, she calls me. Now let's look at the opposite of that. Every time I go too far, she calls you. So as much as you're rewarding looking at you in the first scenario, you are rewarding going further and further in the second scenario. So if you have any questions on invisible leash and strengthening it, please check out our Facebook Live from last week where I talk about that. So finally, now I have a dog who's watching me. If your dog is never taking his eyes off you when he's off leash, slow down how much you're calling him because otherwise you'll create a dog who doesn't understand how to run and play when he's off leash, which is not what we want either. So finally, when I'm finally to this point, so this might take with a puppy a month or two or a week. It really depends on the dog and it depends on the situation. Then I'm finally, okay, we're somewhere where the dog's distracted, smelling something. I get really close and I say their name and back up. And that's when they should be like, I have heard my name 1,000 times and been rewarded, no problem. Now, what if they don't? If they don't, I'm going to step towards them and see if that makes them, if that social pressure makes them turn back to me. If they still don't respond to me, then I'm going to step away. I am not going to keep calling them. This is the biggest thing. I am not going to keep calling them. I'm going to, oh, wait a minute. There you go. I'm going to step away and go, huh, That didn't work. Maybe I need to do a whole lot more value building. So, to review, when you're starting to train their name or come when called, you want to say the name, take a step back, then offer the reward low between your ankles, or if you've got a taller dog, between your knees. Okay, so I hope this gives you some information on teaching your dog to come when called. Let me know if you have any questions. If not, I'll give it a couple of minutes. If not, keep an eye on our Facebook page. I will be posting videos on teaching this little bad chewy puppy. This little bad chewy puppy to come when called as she gets older. Right now, she's awesome. Of course, all puppies are awesome. They can't possibly do anything wrong because look at how cute this is. Look at how cute this is. How can this do anything wrong? Um, and yeah, keep it on our Facebook page and check out our Raising a Puppy in a Pandemic group because that will be following me and Wicca as she grows up and becomes a super duper agility dog. I hope you guys have a wonderful Friday and enjoy your long weekend. And we will see you next week with our next Facebook Live. Thanks, guys. Have a great day.